The Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, the 21st chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
God will fulfill God's purposes, and already hidden signs of that fulfillment are found. On that great day, there will be dismay, perplexity, confusion, and terror. But God's people shall be given strength to stand boldly and receive God's promised redemption. A reading from Luke. Jesus said, "There will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, and on the earth distress among nations, confused by the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will faint from fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world, for the power of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to take place, stand up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near." Then he told them a parable. "Look at the fig tree and all the trees. As soon as they sprout leaves, you can see for yourselves and know that summer is already near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that the kingdom of God is near. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my word will not pass away. Be on guard, so that your hearts are not weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of this life, and that day does not catch you unexpectedly, like a trap. For it will come upon all who live on the face of the whole earth. Be alert at all times, praying that you may have the strength to escape all these things that will take place and to stand before the Son of Man." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
You may be seated. It's an interesting reading, isn't it? Jesus tells that, there will be, thank you, Linda, moving on. There will be the cosmic signs which will make you feel overwhelmed. But Jesus said this, it's very unique in Luke. It said, "Stand up and raise your heads, because your deliverance is drawing near." So in other words, or I put it this way, in times of chaos and times of distress, Jesus tells his followers to stand up and raise their heads. Or maybe the different way to put it word is just move your butts. Don't sit on there. This part I will change, author. I will tell the different stories and I put there. So there was a seminary president who was a very tall man, and he was very known that he was good at picking up the penny coins from the street. And when somebody would talk to him, "President, I know that you are good at getting those little finding the penny coins on the street." And he answered, I guess I'm just looking all the way down when I'm walking. And I'm getting those little pennies on my hand, in my pocket. When we are looking down, or sometimes I do like this a lot, we may see something, but it's different when we raise our heads up and maybe stand up too. What we notice, Like, for instance, when I'm looking like this, the hymnal all the time, because I don't remember those creeds and all those words, but sometimes if the words I kind of know, or maybe I'm just bored, I put my head up. I see that Miriam finds a little more toys and carrying into the place with a delightful joy. It's like, I found all these things, right, Miriam? I just saw you. You're carrying a whole basket full of good stuff in a church. When I raise my head, during the time we are citing the creed, when I raise my head, I notice some of you are professing your faith from your memory. Sometimes I raise my head. I saw the little smiles of the people and see your faces. When we raise our heads, or maybe stand up too, we see more things. On the way on the car back from St. Nicholas, my husband said, you know what? My choir director always said that when we are in choir. Right, Charlie? What's the choir director always said to you guys? Look up. Because I'm directing you. Well, that part I don't know. But the choir director, if you're in a choir before, right? Neil, you're in a choir. Either you were in a choir. Your choir director says the same thing like Jesus said when you're practicing. When you have the music like this, choir director can tell. If we're like this, our voices going this instead of this. And said, put your music up there if you don't remember. Look up. And look up the director. And follow, because director may change something. And when we look up, we see more. Our sights are widened. And we notice more things we may not have noticed before. When I put my heads up, I notice you. I notice God's creatures around us when the sun is coming in a gloomy day. And I notice Christmas lights are up and God's presence in there. And I notice I am not alone, but I'm in this place with all interesting God's creatures. So Jesus told the story that we read today, which is known as he's talking about the last day. Or maybe sometimes we also talk about the second coming of Christ, that Jesus coming back on earth after ascending to heaven. Jesus warns his followers that during his absence from earth, there will be calamities, hardships, chaos, wars and strifes, famines, earthquakes. And sometimes the monkey can escape from the farm and surprise you and become as national news. I've heard there's 4 more to go. They got most of them. And all those things happen may lead God's people devastation or lead to astray. Maybe the distress, this sense of extreme unpleasantness and fatigue, something to make you worry, may fill the air. But what Jesus is saying is, don't panic. Don't panic, but stand up and raise your head. This is a pretty simple thing. You know, you can raise your head, can't you? Maybe sometimes something a little difficult, but you can raise your heads. And we can stand up, but sometimes it's a little hassle to stand up, especially your feet or balance is not perfectly good, or if you have boots on your feet. But raise our head and standing up. It's a simple thing many of us can do. But you know what? This simple thing is a powerful thing to do. Because when we stand up and raise our heads, we see more. We notice something more around us. And also, others will notice us as well, which connects us to one another. Bless you. By doing that, just simply standing up and raise our head and look around, we recognize others' existence, who they are, and also they will recognize each of us who we are. And when we recognize those each others, we see God. We see God in each other. Sometimes we go like, oh, I'm not sure. But God is in the midst. That's what happens. At least to me, that's what I notice. That will happen when I raise my head and stand up. Because I see the smiles of the 1-year-old, which makes me smile. Sometimes you should look around during the service. Because that really changes. And sometimes I see some of you goes like, oh, here comes, and getting up. And I go like, I'm so grateful you are here today. When we stand up and raise our head, we see God. Because God is present in our midst. And when we see God in the midst of me and somebody else, or you and somebody else, when we see God in the presence in our midst, our salvation is drawing near. Our hope is emerged from there. So you may not remember anything from today's sermon, but I just one thing remember. This week, you stand up and raise your head and look around. God will lead you. Amen.